Good morning, people. Good morning. Good morning. How you all doing? Hope all is well. Yes, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Friday. Friday morning. This is Spirit Journey, and today is September 1st, 2023, and the time is about 5:53 a.m. Oh, I forgot to put my mic on, so I have to make sure I talk. I have put the mic near my face. Yes, good morning. I woke up not too long ago, about 5:30. I was dreaming, then I woke up and I did my morning vision. So today, good morning, my viewer, good morning. So today, I'm going to talk about a few things. I'm going to say up front what I wanted to discuss. So, of course, I hope I remember, okay? I want to talk about my vision that I saw, and I want to try to tie in what I saw with the Super Soldier or Secret Space program and the movie that I saw, the newest movie that I saw with Denzil Washington and the black man that I saw playing chess, the game of chess yesterday at the park. I want to try to combine them all in. Yeah, just questions that I have. And my questioning is not to put down, but more of an observation and a wake up call. Okay? Yes, so I woke up from dreaming. I don't remember what I was dreaming. It was hard for me to go to sleep last night. My mind was very busy, and part of that's because I went to the movies yesterday and I saw I guess it's like a pre-screening because it officially is supposed to open up today. But when I checked, um, I checked a couple of days ago to find out when the official opening was, and it said September 1st. But then I saw it said show times, so it's okay, and it said the 31st, and it showed the different showings. I said okay, so I want to see it early, and um, I was a little disappointed, but either way, I saw it early, and it had me thinking that movie. And before I went to the movies, I went out with my dogs to the park, and I saw um, it was a lot of action, lot of activity. It was very packed. I got there around noontime. It's a different park that I usually go to, yeah. And a lot of activity, very busy, and I noticed the chess playing, the game of chess being played in the park. And turning on my device this morning and looking at the thumbnails on YouTube channels, my YouTube, I noticed certain thumbnails on the Super Soldiers Secret Space program. And it just had me all thinking. I want to try to tie all these different elements together. So let me begin. Yeah, it's sunrise is coming. You see this sky getting brighter and brighter. Yeah, sunrise would be now is at a later hour. It's about five, like six, almost 6:30 in the morning. Yeah, it's really something. The summer I used to come out during the summer at five. The earliest 5:24. Now it's like an hour later. So I leave later from my place if I go out. Yes, because the sun rises now late, and so I don't want to leave, too early because I don't like it too dark. So, anyways, let me begin what I saw. And I'm wondering whether the morning visions that I see upon meditation, whether it's affected by the seasons, things like that. Sometimes the theme of what I'm seeing is like in clusters, and then it changes the theme, and it's something else I'm seeing repeatedly. So, what I saw today, um, I saw like I felt I was looking downward into something, and it was uh, kind of dark. You could it, like now it's kind of dark out there, but you could still see images, and there was an opening, um, a narrow strip, and that narrow opening. Um, it was like maybe let's say 6 inches wide and maybe a yard long, and it was slightly curved uh, upwards, so slightly like the whole thing was curved slightly upward. And then beyond it, this opening, I I um, I see like a device. If you would imagine, yeah, the opening looked like metal, something like a dark gray color, and it's very murky. And I think it's underwater. I think this might be underwater or something. And I see this device underneath this narrow opening that's curved upward, slightly curved upward, the whole thing. And the corners were tapered, it was rounded. The two opposite ends were rounded, tapered. A device, and if you imagine the device, it was a big device, the shape, imagine the shape of a pencil, old-fashioned pencil, with its point. But this is something big. It looked like a metallic, but a matte colored. Matte, it wasn't shiny. A dark gray. Yeah, everything seemed to have a dark gray, matted finish. Um, Imagine the device maybe a yard and a half long, and maybe, about the width of a human body, maybe a little bigger than the width of the body. The pointed end was pointing upward towards me, and the flatter base was, all opposite me. I mean, below this device. You can imagine like a short pencil. That you know, but it was big. But that's just the shape. Um, and it could have had. I'm not sure whether the sides of this large device, whether it was multi-sided or whether it was actually smooth, or whether multi-sided like a pencil. That I'm not 100% sure. Um, it looked very heavy. It looked like it would be something heavy. And beside this thing, this device, pointed device, was waving, you know, side to side. And I saw what looked like a face, a figure, also dark. Everything was all about the same color, but I think the being might have been a little darker, or maybe because it was in a more shadowy location. I couldn't see too much detail, but it looked like that a reptilian uh, being. Yeah, it has a head, um, but the snout was shorter, seemed shorter, but it looked like that reptile type. And its head is right beside this device, the base of the device, and he's moving it side to side. So I think it might have had some type of handle on the base that you really can't see, and because he's able to move this thing side to side, and he's like peeking his head on the side of the device and trying to see through the opening that I'm looking downward. So I'm looking downward, and he's looking upward with this thing pointing in my direction. And I think it might have been a little like the seaweed type of thing also moving about. It doesn't want me to see it. My impression was, this is an, uh, could be like an underwater base. And this figure that was holding this pointed device in my direction. Uh, See, it was male, very male, you know, seemed thick in body, it was dark. I didn't see any clothes on it. I don't think I had clothes on. All a solid color, very male, very, very male. It had arms, it was holding this thing. You see the shoulders, part of the head and neck. And I just felt it was something, a device to, it was for protection of this, where this thing was, this thing beyond the narrow opening that I'm seeing through. Yeah, I might have been, let's say, a yard away from this opening, looking downward, and this thing is looking up. The device was pointing just below the opening on the opposite side, and it's moving to the left to the right, you know, or side to side. And it didn't want my presence there. Defending its home, or installation. It's like an installation. I just felt that it was an installation. I could not see much else. So I didn't see what this installation looked like from the outside, but it seemed like a dark gray, matte finish. The device in the hand was also a dark gray type. Yeah, very, very metallic, metal or something strong. And that's what I saw. That was the vision. And I didn't want to stay there long to see. Again, my seeing, I was done intentionally trying to see this thing, because upon awakening from sleeping or dreaming, I do my meditation, and whatever I see is what I see. And I don't want to be around an area where I'm not supposed to be. So I just opened my eyes, and I don't want to see anymore. And I was nervous closing to close my eyes again, because I don't want to see the same place. So mentally I say to myself, I don't want to see anymore what that was. Okay? So I just say, hey, let's just cool it for now. Yeah, there's activity out there. Remember before, it was earlier this year, I think in February or March, I was in an installation and it was a light color background. I was inside an installation, a room, had all these lights and gadgets on the wall, like a space movie. And I saw a man, a human man, black man at that. It looked like a regular American dude. Um, like my feeling was that he was in his 40s, strong looking, and he was actually smiling. He was talking to someone. I didn't see who he was talking to. He was wearing like this body armor that reminded me of, the movie Star Wars. Those beings, beings wearing those white white body armor, like plastic or something. It reminded me of that, but he didn't have like a helmet, like a head helmet, like in that movie. No, you could see his face, part of face, but he had these little goggles on, so I couldn't see his inside the eye. It was opaque. He had very short hair, like a short cropped haircut, because he had like a something like elastic that was holding the goggles on. He may have had a weapon in his hands, but I don't remember just exactly, because his arms were down and hands close together. And I'm standing from where his feet would be, looking upward at him, and it was clear as clear could be. I said, "Oh my goodness, who is this person?" So I believe that there's activity out there going on right now. I believe what I see is not something from the past, or something that's happening now that I'm able to see. Where this thing is, I have no idea. It's not like I see writing. I never see any writing. But it was just so much to see because it was very clear. And um, it was, the room seemed to be lit by, like dark in the room, but the lights of the gadgets and everything illuminated the room, and so it was like dim lighting on it. So the light reflected off of him, so you could see him clear as clear as could be. I believe that there are things going on right now, and maybe because what's happening, maybe my mind is sensitive to the activity of what's going on in the world. That I'm sorry, just trying to get this thing get comfortable holding this, but I have to keep the mic of the device near me. I don't have the headset on, so I have to talk louder. um, what does this all mean? Maybe I'm sensitive that certain activity is in the horizon coming. It's intensifying, and my mind is picking up that energy, because I feel each of these places that I've seen in my vision is something, a military base. These are military, especially the man that I saw. He was a military man, a soldier of some type. He was defending the spot. He looked like he was on duty. He was on duty, and someone was in the room. I'm facing him, and I'm seeing through, like, as if I'm where his feet is, looking upward at him. He's a tall fellow, but I do not see anyone else in the room with him. But he's obviously talking to someone else in the room. He was smiling and kind of talking, he's in a good mood, positive. And I never get audio. Never, never. That would be interesting. What does all this mean? Again, I feel that something energetically is happening, and that's why I'm seeing what I'm seeing. And so, how does this lead to um, the park scene that I saw yesterday? The park, SSP, and the movie. Okay, the I'll talk with the park. It was a brief thing. Yeah, I went to the park um, in in the city. The park I usually don't. I usually don't go there. It's on um, 42nd Street area. It's a big park. It has lawn, and it's like a rectangle shaped park. And on the peripheral, you have different activities. You have games being played, like you have ping pong tables, you have cafe tables and chairs, you have food vendors, you have an area where they play chess and other games. And I went there with my little dogs. I know they have a lot of trees there, so I'll get shade, a lot of shade, which is good. Yeah. And it was a cool day. I had to go outside. It was very cool and breezy. It felt good. And so when it's cool like this, I say, hey, I don't have to get up so early. I can get up later now since it's cooler outside because it was too hot before for me and my dogs. And so I would have to get up early to get the coolness of the air before it gets too hot for us. So now the weather, since now it's September 1st, the weather's getting cooler. So, um, so when I was walking up, I saw a man. He could have been in his 60s. He's a dark-skinned black man, um, and it was heavy set. Smooth skin. He was wearing a large brim hat. It was blue, uh, a medium blue. Don't see that color a lot, actually, the type of blue. And he's at a table, a little table to play chess. He had the chessboard and the chess pieces all set up. And my eyes caught his eye as I was walking with the stroller and my dogs. And he beckons me over. I'm thinking I'm just a lady, with a stroller with her dogs. But I'd smile at him and wave. But he keeps beckoning me over. So I said, why not? Why not just walk over and say hello? Well, what happens in park? Well, you have a lot of chess players, but they do this for money. They get paid. They play the game, and I think, why would you want to play with me? I'm just so. I mean, that sounds very sexist of me, but this is what I thought. Obviously, I'm not here to play a game of chess. I have my dogs out, a big stroller. But I walk over anyway. I say, yeah, how you doing? And he has like um, something like his post, introducing who he is, his name, and all this other stuff. And so, you want to play, chess, a game of chess? So I thought, oh, I used to play. I mean, I said, look, I don't really know how to play, but I was introduced to the game when I was around 7 years old, and I don't really, no, yeah, I said 7, but maybe I might have been 8 or 9 years old actually. And yeah, my father used to play chess, and some other siblings of mine used to play it also with him. I mean, I was told how to move the pieces. To me, it was just um, moving the pieces. I just to learn how to move the pieces. You go this. The pawn goes like this. The knight goes like that. The bishop goes this way. The queen and the king go. That's all I know. I didn't know about strategy. I just thought as a game that you just try to gobble up the other person's pieces, and that your aim is to get the king. I don't care for the game because I'm not into gobbling up people. I never liked the game, and I don't like games in general because it's about taking over somebody else. And I think games should be fun, about uplifting, something that's creative, beautiful, not about gobbling up or dominance. Um, but I told them that, basically what I was taught about it, how to move the pieces. But I realized that as an adult, that chess is not a game, but it's life. Yes, chess is not a game, it is about life. And that's what I was telling him. He said, oh, well, if, well, I can teach you how to play the game, because you're correct that it's not a game. It is life, about life. And I can teach you. Yeah, he kept on repeating, I can teach you. He spoke smoothly, maturely. He reminded me of Colonel Sanders, the KFC guy. His persona reminded me of him. He didn't have any facial hair, this guy. He had a smooth skin. But he had this confidence about him that projected that imagery of me, like a black Colonel Sanders. I guess maybe because he had the hat on. Didn't Colonel Sanders have a hat? A brimmed hat? I forget. But he reminded me of old school. He had the big brimmed hat. Men of the day used to wear hats. And he had a formality about him. And he actually kind of looked like someone that I knew from the West Indies. When I first arrived to the West Indies, the island of St. Thomas, he was a guy from St. Croix, and he's a mixed fellow. He had like a caramel complexion, the same formality that he had. He was older school, but that age of what he was back then. When I arrived there to St. Thomas, I was in my 20s, latter 20s. I was 27. So this person could have been 50s. He could have been like in his 50s, but he was healthy. But he had a maturity about him, I remember. That formality that he had also, the guy at the park who wants to engage in a game of chess playing. So I told him, I said, well, I obviously didn't come prepared to play the game. And I said, look, I want to be honest, I was just walking by and I see you, and, I didn't want to just walk away. I said, let me just say hello. And he thanked me. He said, thank you for coming over, And then these young East Asian looking people, young, very young, they almost look like teenagers. And they came by and they sat down at the table to play chess with them. So I said, thank you, thank you for the invitation, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I didn't want to get in the way because he obviously wanted, because I did ask him, well, how much is it? He says, whatever what you can afford. That's what his answer was. That yet before the Asian people came, there was a group of young boys, East Asian types. They're very tiny, very small frame, uh, very young looking. And I remember hearing online recently, could have been last month, could have been August, or July or August. This I think it was Andrew Tate, and because he used to play chess too. His father was a master chess player, and he was relaying that his father, Andrew Tate's father, also taught chess to people, but a lot of his customers were Asian people, all types of Asians that would pay $100 a pop to teach the children how to play chess. And he felt badly that none of the black people wanted to learn to play chess. Wanted their kids to play chess, or none of them seemed to be wanting to play. Which is interesting because the game is to teach about strategy. And a lot of these Asian kids are the ones that get into those Ivy League schools in the United States now. But I don't think it's by chance. The fact that these Asian kids are now living in the U.S. is by design, and they have a plan. Before they come here to the U.S., there's already a plan, and there's already a community waiting for them when they come to the U.S. Yes, they have to do the work, but it's set up for them. That is the difference between blacks and Asians, local blacks and Asians that are arriving. The Asians that are coming here are coming here for a purpose. They already have a goal and an aim when they come here. And them learning the game of chess is to hone their skills and hone their children's skills, to sharpen them up about the game of chess that will be played on the battlefields of these large cities where many of them live. And many of them are moving to the South too. You have many of them that live in Texas. Oh yes. I had visited Texas about 18 years ago. And since then, there's a large Asian community. And they live in beautiful, large homes. The person I know that lives there, I think 40% of the population in that neighborhood are people from Asia, and just maybe 2 black families, and the rest white. Hello, people. This is part of social engineering. And no, this is not to phobia. I'm just describing what exists socially. What is the atmosphere, the climate? What is the demographics of the region? And so I think what's happening with blacks, again, blacks that were brought here at the time of, who were brought here in enslavement. Okay, you're already at a disadvantage. And the numbers here the percentage of blacks doesn't rise much. And you notice a lot of those clinics are focused in black communities so that they get rid of their progeny. I'm trying to be very discreet here. their progeny, so it doesn't surpass a certain percentage. And so they always outnumber us and surround us. They put us in communities where with the others, are living surrounding us. So any so-called uprise will be squashed immediately. That is the difference between us and Asians with a lighter dark. Okay, they don't want us to excel or do anything as a collective, and they're doing everything in when I'm observing, because you don't find in these new Asian communities a problem with certain types of I have to be very careful. Criminality, certain types of criminality. You know, crime happens everywhere, but the extent, and they're not being frisked. They're like stop and frisk. They don't have that in their community. They're not being harassed in that way and intimidated. It's designed to intimidate, to remind them we have an eye on you. And I remember when I used to go to church, I went to this mega church, and it was in Brooklyn. I live in Manhattan, and I would have to take the train and a bus. It took 2 hours to get there. And I was waiting at a bus stop with this black lady. She was older than me. This was around 2006. And she's crying. Here, a grown black woman crying regarding her son. She had like a young adult son. And he lives in one of those type of neighborhoods, a black neighborhood. And he's walking with his girlfriend. And a cop was following him. Said, I'm keeping my eye on you. Blah, blah, blah. And just saying this. And this was during the summer. So it's hot. It's hot inside. And people want to go out, get some air, And it's at nighttime. But there was other people, they're out, it's a black neighborhood. It's hot outside. It's summertime. Want to get some air. And that's all it is. And this cop was just harassing him. And the mother's crying because she wants safety for her children. She's telling me, I don't know this woman, but we're all going to the same place. And so, you're familiar, so everybody's waiting at the bus stop was usually going to that church. And you were waiting, so we're talking. We're social, And I feel badly. So there's a game being played that's not being said to the general public. What these activities are. And just your presence is considered an enemy of the state. You're considered an enemy of the state because of what you look like. And I think that's sad. And I think it's a camouflage, what do you call it, a distraction. They're making black people feel that they're the enemy of the state. But who is the real enemy of the state? The government knows who's the real enemy, but they want you to think that black people are. And consequently, blacks start to feel bad and can get defiant. When you squish people, they get angry. And real men get angry at that. You with your woman, and you're being harassed by a cop. It's aggravating. So I'm just, I'm trying to put pieces together Oh, okay. So you have that element. So there is a difference of, yes, people learning how to play chess. Newcomers want to teach your young Asian children how to play chess. According to Andrew Tate's testimony about his father, who was a master chess player. Uh, he was a veteran. He was in the Air Force. You find a lot of blacks who go to the Air Force. They seem to be of higher intelligence. And he also had connections with the Alphabet Agency. Um, and yeah, he taught chess. And chess, you can play chess in different environments, but not all of us are in the same environment. And so the rules don't apply. Your game of chess has its rules, but according to where you play the game of chess, there's different rules. And what I realized in my life, that the rules I was taught to follow did not apply to others. And I remember being told by my father, uh, okay, I remember my first day on the job. It was a private job, private sector job. I used to work for the city. That job was given to me by family, friends, relative. I had left that job and went away for school, college for a semester, and then came back home. And I was able to get that job back. So I found another job on my own, private sector. It was at a bank, actually. And yeah, even back then, it was extremely segregated. And who would have known about 30 years later that I would have been racially profiled by that same institution? And I took my money out of that bank once my check cleared, and now I'm at a new bank. Really ironic how things play. So I know how that place operates because I worked inside that place. It's very racist. But either way, I was told, okay, when you get to the job, you do this and then you do that. And then I went to, because I have to listen to my folks. So I went in to do what I was instructed to do by my father. Well, that rule didn't apply to me. And from day one, from that point on, I was on the poo-poo list. I was on the poo-poo list. And what I learned about the game of chess, now in hindsight, rules don't always apply to the same people, even though you're playing the same game. But it's not the same rules. And that's what was very frustrating about this life. That there are different games within a game. And to feel helpless, not knowing what to do, how to play the game. Yes, good morning, viewer. Good morning. And I hope the audio is okay. My mouth is right at the device because I don't have my headset on with the mic, so I have to keep the device close to my mouth. So I hope you can hear me okay. So it's very frustrating, this game of life, that we may teach our children how to play the game of chess. And I was thinking before I went to bed last night about the man, the adult man, black man, who wanted to teach, said, hey, I'll be your teacher and teach you how to play chess. And answer some of the questions that, things that you mentioned about when you were young and being taught about the fundamentals of the game of chess, the actual game. I was thinking about it and said, maybe I should go back to him and say, because again, he said, when I asked her how much it would cost, he said, whatever you can afford. You know, I'm tempted to go back and ask him a theoretical question, a problem, and how to get around it. Yeah, I would have to formulate my questions. See, the game of chess, it is symbolic about life. It is a game of life, chess. It's not a game, as I told him. I said, I know that this is not a game. This is about life. But in my analysis of the game now and about my life, I'm a middle-aged woman with my perceived concerns, how to get around it. And so I ask these type of questions. How does someone handle certain things that occur in life? Could a game of chess really prepare you for life? I mean, because see, people might have strategies. You have to know in a game of chess who your enemy is. Who is the aim? Who do you want to remove? I am one person. I live in a social system. And anyone there in your social environment can be your potential enemy. So in the game of chess, the ultimate is to get the king, right? You can have all your pieces, everybody can have all the pieces, but you get that king, you get a checkmate. You can win with being getting one man, that one piece. Even though you have a whole army, you get that one. Who is that one in my life? Maybe in my environment there are many kings, many kings out there. It's only when the king dies in the game of chess that you have a winner. What if in your life you have many kings around? And so when you get one king, there's another one and another one, another all around in your life. I feel this is what the world is up against. The world is up against this. There are many kings, many domains, many multi-level games of chess being played simultaneously. That is what's going on. It's not one game of chess. There are multiple layers of chess being played simultaneously. That is what life is. A multi-level game of chess. And I'm one of many pawns, minions, And I feel like you think you've overcome because maybe you remove one king in your life. Well, there's another level around the corner. That's how I feel. And so how I'm tying this in. So here I mentioned, viewer, that I saw this base. Looks like I think it was underwater base. And the reptilian being with the pointed device in my direction. I believe that there's military activities going around up in space and in underground or underwater bases. These potential situations that could strike at any moment. But we preoccupy with all these things like television, things on television or social media that's distracting us. And yet, all this activity, the real reality, the real wars that is pointing at you, like that device was pointing at me today in my vision, pointing at me. And I believe what's happening is happening in live. It's not. It's like something that's active, that's happening now. Yet we're here, asleep, still in bed. Yet this thing is happening. I've got bases, believe military bases all over, wherever where these things are, all over the place. And you have people who teach the game of chess at this park that I mentioned. And interesting that the people that want you to play chess, it was like he was the only one at that quadrant, that section of the park, on the north end of the park, north side of the park. But the bulk of them is actually on the south quadrant of the park, which was interesting. Yeah. So I actually got lost. So when I was on my way to go home, because I just left to go to the park for a short time and then raced back to go to the movies. And I saw that new Denzil Washington movie. I forget the name. It was the third sequel. It was the third new Denzil Washington movie when he's like a hitman. And so I wanted to say goodbye to the guy. I said thank you, to just thank him. I was on my way home. I just wanted to say goodbye, before I leave. But I got lost inside the big park. I didn't realize how big the park was. I was looking for him in the wrong quadrant. Yeah, I said, where did the guy go? I said, I remember I went up, and then I made a left turn, and he was at the top corner, where I was looking in the wrong quadrant. And didn't realize how big it was. I was in the quadrant to the south quadrant and not the north quadrant. I got confused because it was so big. I got confused. And I was looking for him for about 20 minutes. I said, I know, I went past it. Then I realized. And then I found him again. I saw that he was busy. I said, okay, I see him, now I see the position where he is at this park. And maybe I might call back. So, what I noticed though, sorry, my nose. But I noticed, who goes and plays chess at this park? All black men. They're like from the 40s and up in age. However, they seem very mature, very seasoned. And they sit there and waiting for people to play a game with them. They get paid. They paid, Now I've seen them playing, the guys playing chess before. Sometimes they move the pieces really fast, and sometimes they're just sitting there and staring at the board. But you have all these black men who play chess. And I started asking myself, because I'm also thinking about Andrew Tate, that guy that's on social media, very popular man. They said the most Googled man on the planet at that time, last year, in 2022. And he was saying, Andrew Tate's father was saying that the customers that went to his father, who was a master player, he played chess for a living after the military. His clients weren't black people. But I'm seeing all these, they look like American blacks, and they play chess. And they play for money. And I'm wondering, wow, where did these dudes come from to play chess? And how come they are not in their communities to teach chess? How come we aren't teaching our children? Why isn't the black church teaching the game of chess? Why isn't there a community amongst black men, these black alpha males, to teach their community? That is the question. Why aren't they? You know they're important. You feel it's important. That's why you're playing the game. You love the competitive spirit behind the game. But you're not using strategy for your community to protect your community. And I don't understand it, people. And I know it sounds like a criticism. But it's a question. It's a valid question. Andrew Tate asked a statement. His father taught chess to Asian people, young Asian kids, and the parents would pay $100 to teach their kid how to play. And I don't think the average black American would even do that. They might give their kid $100 to buy sneakers or a Nintendo game or whatever what video game that's out there now. Why don't we teach strategy in our community? Why don't these black men teach their own? It's like we go and show the world we know how to play chess, these guys. I'm not trying to sound like a bitch. You have a right to do or play what you want to play. But you wonder what's going on in the community, their community. Why are they doing a strategy of chess to have us, to be able to navigate in our world, in our communities, to build our domain? A game of chess is about a domain. The chessboard is a domain, and so where we live is a domain also. But we're not being taught it, and we're just reacting. We are just reacting to what's happening in the domain, and no tools. And again, I learned, as I said earlier in this live stream, that the rules don't apply to everybody. There are different rules for different people, because this game of chess is played on a multiple level, this life. And the game of chess, even upon what gender you are, is different. The game of chess does not apply the same for men and women. And as I said, when I was just starting out in the real business world, the private sector world, that when I followed what I was instructed was a deadly mistake for me. Hurt my work environment and put me at a disadvantage. And it seemed like no matter what I did, yes, it was very painful and something I didn't understand. But you see, um, a teacher can only teach what they know. Even though he knew, had a lot of knowledge, but he didn't have the knowledge of what a young, tall, slender, caramel color, black female, what rules applied to her and how she was to navigate in her world. I was at a severe handicap, and I couldn't talk to my I couldn't talk to my folks about that. What's going on? Follow what was told, and boom, it was horrible. So it's a confusion. It's a confused world because I went to the movies after I went to the park and saw the people playing chess, all black men playing chess, or waiting to play with someone. They were sitting by themselves, many of them, unoccupied. These black men waiting for someone to play chess with them for money. And so um, I felt uncomfortable. And it's like your community, your kids are dying, but you're sitting there. I want to show everybody how well you can play chess. But the application of the game in real life is lacking people because our egos are out there. Our egos is killing the black community. We talk about ancient Egypt and how we were kings, where every king has its slaves. You think a king, everybody is having fun? A king is a king because he acquired domains. And so anyone that survives the conquest of that king is a slave to that king and has to pay taxes to it, right? So I felt anger. I felt anxiety. And so then I go to see the Denzil Washington movie. Oh, The Equalizer. That's the name. The Equalizer 3, the newest one that just came. It actually there was a viewing yesterday that I saw, but today is the official opening. And again, you have a black hero. I'm being very candid. I like Denzil Washington. I think he's an excellent actor. But I know certain themes in his movies. The movie was kind of long-winded. It had a different feel from the other two Equalizer movies. This one was a setting in Europe, the Mediterranean. And I think it kind of relied on the environment, the newness of the exoticness of the Mediterranean, the foreign language, and family, community, a small town community of the Mediterranean. It relied more on that to carry the movie, but for me, it just um, was a distraction to me. But and I'm not gonna. I don't want to spoil what the movie's about. But the preview you see that it's in a foreign country. But the theme now. He's one of the few black people there in this Mediterranean city, and he's slowing down. He did get hurt, and he's recuperating, and he's walking with a cane. Very, he just seemed like a middle-aged black guy. He's tired. He's trying to blend in. He's wearing all black, and but it's against this background of a Mediterranean town. It was very beautiful, the town, in my opinion. It was old, but still beautiful. And he's a man I would imagine knows about the game of chess. He calculates his move and he captures a lot of kings, so to speak. It was one conquest after another, after another. And what I noticed, what's turning me off, now they had, like, okay, they had like a semi love interest, a young woman, a mixed race looking woman, very pretty, sweet face, who's flirting with him. You know, they go out to eat. It was innocent. It was all innocent. Um, and another black character. They never said anything, but he's like working. It's a fish town. They're fishermen, and he's cleaning fish, and that's all the black people that I remember. No one high profile. He is the main enchilada in that movie. Major black figure in that movie. But no one else. I noticed in his movies, you really don't have, in his movies, and again, I like a lot of his movies, but at the same time, I have concerns about the themes that are being shown. They never have black men working together. They never have black men working together in these trilogies of his. Equalizer. He's the lone black man. Somehow is able to navigate and be the only black dude, and he's very effective at what he does. In war, the game of war, he's a master at self-defense. He's supreme at self-defense, helping everybody else, it seems. I mean, but one of the equalizers, there was a young a teen. He's still in he's in high school, and he's in certain parts of the movie. I forget whether it was one or two equalizer, but they show him as a dumb kid. He's what do you call it, a black ghetto guy, teen, acting stupid, with the wrong people, getting in trouble with the because he was involved with the gang, and Denzil does get him out. But it just how it showed him. Maybe on the surface he's trying to say, "Hey, wake up!" Yeah, he was telling even the character in that movie was trying to shake him, literally. Hey, wake up! Stop it! I don't want you to end your life this way, being involved with this gang. It was a very powerful moment in that movie. I forget whether it was one or two. But outside of that, with the Equalizer, that's basically it about his engagement in the black community. That one kid. And he turns around. You see, at the end of the movie, the kids seem to go on a better projection. Okay. But again, you have a black man navigating primarily in a Eurocentric environment. And he seems to be flourished, he's like retiring from what his occupation was. But you never really retire when you in the type of organization he was in. But my question, what's itching at me, that's The character is a master self-defense person. He's a master self-defense. Lone Ranger. But yet, like those chess players that I saw at the park, how come he's the Lone Ranger? How come he's not with his own? How come he's not strategizing? How come he's not teaching them how to self-defense? How to defend your home? How to defend your community? How come you are a master player? And the guys at the park might be also top players in this region. But you're not teaching your own. They are Lone Rangers. It's interesting that the one that approached me yesterday at the park was sitting separate from where all the other guys play. He was a Lone Ranger, literally. All the other players, black players, was in another location. And all the tables are around each other. But his was on a different quadrant of the park and the only chess table there. Interesting, that's just clicking to me right now. A Lone Ranger. Why is this? Why aren't we together? Why is Denzil Washington's character in the movie, why is he the Lone Ranger? Even within the field that he was in, he probably was the only black dude in his field, helping everybody else. Yeah, in the Equalizer 1 and 2, he's helping everybody else. He helped this mom get her daughter back. He helped this lady who was being harassed. She was a foreigner from Asia, and she was being harassed by the black neighbors. They didn't like her mural. It was beautifully done, but I think what was being communicated, like the community in the movie, was a black neighborhood changing hands. It's a poor black area, but new immigrants from Asia, South Asia. And she puts a mural up that was for her, of people of her culture. And so I think the blacks might, and again, there's no excuse. You don't vandalize somebody's artwork. It was beautifully done, but I think what she unconsciously or consciously was doing, saying, "This is my domain. This is my neighborhood." And the blacks were saying, "Oh, no, it ain't," and they vandalized it. In a nutshell, I think that's what really was being communicated. And Denzil does justice for her. Yeah, that's the same one with the black teen in that movie. Yeah, he was an artist, a painter. The community, these communities, it's like it's never really addressing his world. Now, the character in The Equalizer, he had a home. I think it was like in Boston or something like that. But in the area where he lived, it's a primarily white community. But places like that, I knew someone who lived in an area like where he lived. They lived in Hyannisport, Massachusetts, and a lot of the Kennedys are I think from there, or lived or had a home there. And I was invited to a wedding once, and it was there. And they had pictures of the Kennedys and that. They're like the guy that the person I knew was marrying was a former military. I think an officer. I think it was an officer in the military. A retired. He was an older guy, and so he knew. He had status of in that neighborhood. He did, but the wife was not like the wife was not from there, and this is a black family, and she was a mite. Even though she was what they call a light-skinned black woman, she was an educated black woman of her day. Yeah, she was a nurse. She'd be almost 100 if she was living now. So this is going way back. Wedding was in the 70s, early 70s, I think. And yeah, about 45, 50 years ago, 45 years ago, about 46, close to 50, I mean, between 45 and 50 years ago. And blacks were not liked. Even if you're an educated black person. And back in those days, blacks were educated. Blacks didn't act like how we act, how many of us act now. And yet this guy was I think um, an officer, and has an educated wife. And many, many years later, I go visit her. She was dying. She had cancer. And I went to visit her and talk to her. And I knew she knew that I wanted to talk to her. I wanted to understand about my heritage, and I knew she had information. I wanted to, she knew that. And I know she can sense it in me. I brought flowers and food for her, in the house. So I brought stuff with me. Yeah, if you ever want to talk to someone, get information, you bring a gift or something. You'd better. Also in the movie, you go see the king. Yeah, it was a video on YouTube. Lady who went to see one of an African chief. She's a Westerner, a white lady from the West somewhere, and she wanted to talk to one of the chiefs, descendants of the king of this tribe, this famous tribe in West Africa. And he said, you don't go visit a chief or a king without a gift. So she brought some alcohol. And then she had to do certain things, and they had to have her dress a certain way before she even talked to him. And there was a lot of rules. And I respect that. What's the point of mentioning that? I forget what my point was with that. But either way, that there's protocols, and she was telling me things. This lady that was someone who I knew from way back, and she shares with me how racist they were. And this is where I knew her from the wedding, her wedding, and how they didn't like her, they didn't like them, they were racist. And so even though they're living in a hip place, it's very prestigious, like a Martha's Vineyard place, but they don't like you. And I never knew that was a reality for her. I thought, oh wow, she's living in a fancy neighborhood, prestige white neighborhood. And here her husband was, I think, a former officer in the military. So here, the game of chess, um, why even live in a place like that? The wife stayed to herself. She just went to work and came home. No social life. Could you imagine to put someone through that? You get a wife, you go to your status in the military, and you know the Kennedys, yet your wife is being disrespected. They disrespect your wife, they also disrespecting you, Mr. Gentleman. You don't think he knows about the game of chess? This officer, black officer in the military. Yeah, he was able to, he made a career, he's retired. Sometimes we think we're master chess players. And you're confident in yourself. And you're living amongst people who are just waiting for you to die. They really don't want you there. But your eyes, you had your rose-colored glasses on, and you saw what you wanted to see. But yet you're surrounded by people that don't want you there. Yet you might have been a master chess player, and you get a wife, and you're just straggling. At least a wife. Would you want to live in existence? I wouldn't want to live in existence like that. I wouldn't. And it's frustrating when I saw this other video yesterday when I got home. A white woman, uh, she has a big channel. She has over 1 million subscribers. And she goes to these exotic places with her motorcycle. And so this is the first one I saw. She's on this motorcycle in this West African country. I think the country of Gabon. I'm not sure, but no. Benin. My mistake. Benin. It's right next to Nigeria. The country of Benin, and she went to visit one of the chiefs, of the descendant of the famous king of Dahomey. Dahomey is a tribe. Dahomey. It was a very big tribe. And many of the blacks that were forced to the Americas are from Dahomey. I'm not sure the pronunciation, but it sounds like a Dahomey. From Benin. And interesting, huh? So here, this lady has the confidence, a woman, a white woman, coming, going in and out of Africa, are being respected. And it's like, Africa, why don't you wake up? That's the other thing I talk about. Africa, wake up. You have all these people, outsiders, coming in and out of Africa, asking to talk to you. And you tell them your secrets. And they go back home and use these secrets against you, I fear. They use this information against you, I fear. You have these other tribes, the Dogon, knew for thousands of years about certain planetary things that we're just learning in the past 50 years. And you're telling them your secrets. Why you do that? Why do we do that? We have skills and knowledge. And like in a game of chess, you better find out before you go even teach someone the game of chess why they want to know. Are they going to use those strategies against you, people? Have they? Have they used the game of chess against you? See, the game of life, of chess, it's about what is their goal? What is their aim? That is the big question. What is what are their aims, interests in knowing certain things? You better find that out. And what they're going to use, what are they going to use it for? Whatever, let's say you're selling them things. What are they going to use it for? Find out ahead of time. Find out ahead of time because they might use that against you. I just want this metal that's on the ground. Oh, okay. Well, what are you going to use it for? Oh, there's nothing that you know about. Oh, tell me more. Anything you give others, you better make it yourself. If they're going to use such and such that you have and make it into something, you better make it also because they are going to use that material and use it against you. That's what's happening in some of these African places. They're selling all their minerals and all this and that to these Europeans or people of European ancestry, and then they use it against them and they become masters over you. And you don't have a clue. And you walk around a modern day slave to their control. I think that's a very important thing to know. You have all these black men here in America who might be master chess players, but you don't even teach your own community or warn your sons, hey, be careful who you pair with. Why they're interested? Why is this woman interested in mingling with you? What does she want? What is she going to be using it for? Is she going to infiltrate your community? Is she there to influence you and thus influence your community to bend to the will of she? And you're thinking, oh, it's just a woman. Oh, I could dominate her body. Oh, but that's the whole point. They want you, like in a game of chess, some people give up some of their pieces deliberately. Some people give up their pieces deliberately, and you don't realize that they have a move that they're going to do at a later date. And they're going to say, checkmate. They're going to say, checkmate. People, you think because this woman got those curves, oh, she doesn't have a weapon. Yes, she has a weapon. Her body is the weapon because it controls your activity. It controls your mind. That is definitely what a weapon is. It controls you. And you go, and you might get multiple women, and you think you're the man, and you fell for the trap. You fell for it. You fell for it. This is the true game of chess. To make you think that you surrendered your pieces like an idiot, and you don't realize that you just swallowed the poison. You didn't realize you swallowed the poison. And you're acting like you're the man. And you start to call your own women these pejorative names. And the women from your community are feeling angry and hurt because they feel rejected by you. And rightly so. And God forbid if she tried to improve her lot and she's name called, and you don't realize that she's hurt because, hey, I'm your woman, and you just swallow that poison, and you calling me a hater because I call her out. You just swallow the poison, and that poison is going to be released. It's time released. That poison doesn't have to explode at once. It's time released. It's time released. You swallow the poison and it's time released. She occupies your space. She studies your habits, studies how your community is set up. Go back to her uh, officials and relays everything about you. Don't you wonder how they get all this information, people? Don't you realize how they know so much? Because you let them into your world. You thought, oh, she's digging. I heard this one guy say, oh, well, I thought she was digging me. Oh, I thought she was digging me. Digging me mean it's an expression meaning that she's into you. No, she's not into you. She's into knowledge to use against you and your community. Yet some of you claim to be chess masters, and you let a woman sabotage you. Look what happened to, and now I like Andrew Tate, but look, I'm being real. I like him. I like some things about him. But look what happened to Andrew Tate. What actually messed him over? A woman. A series of women. He too, oh God, I mean, as this comes along, the information, boy, he too was learning and being groomed by his father, his black American father, to be a chess player. And he was good at it. But the family separated when he was 10. I'm sure that was by design. He worked for the government. He was in the military, Air Force, and he also worked for the Alphabet Agency. And at the age of 10, Andrew Tate's parents divorced or separated. And who was the father? Okay, oh God, this is coming to me now. Who was Andrew Tate's mother? Who did his father marry? An outsider. An outsider from Britain, from England. You don't think that's by design? Like Samson, to find out where his strength was. Put her in there. Don't you think that I'm speculating, when what dissolved them? Yes, racism was a part of it, but it's to dismantle him. He was a genius. He was a language expert. He could learn a language in a month's time or something, and he mastered Russian. He was using intelligence, his father, Andrew Tate's father, who was in the military. And he was also a master chess player. And he did it, he swallowed the poison. And it was time released upon him, his demise, and his family demise. Some poisons are generational, that it doesn't kill you, that it can get your descendants. It can get your descendants. It can get your descendants. You swallow the pill, just like in the Bible with Adam and Eve. It was time released. It was time released. Time released. Each generation, blah, 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 blah. So, Andrew Tate's, the kids and the mom went back to Europe. They're living in poverty. Don't you think that it could have been separated? They didn't want him to be groomed by his father. Greatness. Maybe some people may be able to see in the future and say, hey, we don't want this hero to come about. You know what, like the another black messiah, right? Oh, let's get him, pull him away from the black community, but let's put him in a Muslim community. Yeah, he was living in a poor Muslim community. He knew poverty. Maybe it was to build him up. You know, adversity can also build up one's character and one's strength and drive. Yes, it built up his drive, all right, and his hunger. And he decided for himself he didn't want to be poor. And he worked in stages. And then ultimately, fast forward, this man who was the most Googled individual on the planet was arrested without a charge, and he was in custody in his cell by himself at most of the time, but also, sometimes they had his brother with him. But either way, he was incarcerated, I think, for 4 months. And what was again, he wasn't charged officially, but they finally came up with a charge. Because, see, they had 6 months, I think it was 6 months to have a charge against them. So after 6 months, the day before the 6 month end, they come up with a charge of violating this woman and trafficking. Very serious crimes. They said that they interviewed 2,000 women that he knew, 2,000, to try to find some to hang him. Figuratively speaking, when I say that. Again, they did the same chess move, but you swallow the pill. Why are you keep swallowing that same piece of candy? You see that piece of candy, and you keep swallowing it, and you didn't learn. You didn't learn. You didn't learn what was. Yes, you love your parents. Yes, but sometimes even parents could be a poison to you, used against you. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it was used against me in the hindsight. Yeah, certain things messed me over. Yeah, but the enemy that is also playing chess with you knows the game better because they can play on multi levels and generationally this game of chess. And they keep using the same tactics, and you don't seem to learn it. The Bible teaches you some of this game of chess. It's a simple move. Focus on a strong leader, and just throw in a woman, and boom, you got him. You got him. Sometimes it might take time, but boom, you'll get it. Once you swallow that pill, you think it's a candy, but it's poison, and it's time released. And you bite into that candy, and you get another piece of candy sometime, and another and another. You get a whole harem like Andrew Tate. He had many women, and he knew how to play them. And yes, he did set up videos, and he said things that he should not have said. He's a man, he's a wise man who knows, but he's still bit into that candy. He overlooked that one piece, that one pawn. When I said the pawn, play on words I get. Yeah, I just realized a play on words. A pawn. There are a lot of pawns out there. Porn stars, porn, right? Porn. You move your pawn. There are many pawns. Many. And you think, oh, they're just dispensable, they're just pawns. Well, what is a porn star? They can trip a man, they can trip a billionaire. You say, I ain't got money, I got this and that. I just bite into that porn. It's just a little thing. It can't really move about. It can only move one little square at a time. Right? In the game of chess, the pawn, it can move to the left, right, front, and back. Just one square at a time. But it's effective and can be used against you because it looks harmless. Yes, she looks harmless. And yes, she might be tasty. Or they might use a guy for that, depending upon where you swing at. And you fail every time. This game of chess, and you haven't mastered that move, that one piece, that one piece, the pawn. How many men wish they never saw porn before? Okay. Oh, but I didn't know it was going to go like this live stream. But this is, see, I go with the flow. And I feel the spirit of the Creator is flowing, is that I'm tapping into that wisdom, that true deep wisdom of awareness. I want to tie in all these things, how things that unrelated here, watching a Denzil Washington movie, The Equalizer 3, a prominent black man, a master at self-defense, protecting a community that's not his, that he's foreign to, and even being told in the movie, they accept you as their own. They accept you as their own. And he seems so at peace. And he's going out his way to protect this community. And at the end of the movie, you find out who he did this for. This couple that is not from his community. Is he the modern, what they call the modern Uncle Tom? The modern day Uncle Tom looked kind of like a hero, but what really? Is he the souped up Uncle Tom who is helping all these people who are actually his enemy, his downfall, the community's downfall? But he's doing everything to upkeep them. What's driving him? The character of Denzil Washington. What is his motivation? Why did he go into that field? And he's neglecting his own, who are at prey, surrounded by lions, devouring them. Or the park that I told you about, just before I went to the movie, I went to the park and see all these black men waiting for someone to play chess. And one of them approached me, invited me to play a game of chess with them. Here I had my stroller, my big giant stroller with my little dogs. I said, well, I didn't come, let him, I just wanted to say hello because you did beckon me over, and I didn't want to be rude. I said, hey, maybe take time to say hello. Yes, maybe he can teach me a few moves of the game. And on the in that park, you had a whole slew of men in this other quadrant inside the park, waiting for people to play chess with them. All black men. They're like in their 40s, 50s, 60s years of age. In this domain, and then yes, I did see an Asian kids, look like teenagers, young people, look like 12, 13, 14. And one of them hurriedly sits down. And then I walk. That's when I walked away. I said, thank you for everything, and I left. Because he does this for money. We're teaching people outside our community for a buck, for a little change, for a few dollars. Because he said, whatever what you can afford. When I asked him, well, how much would it cost for you to show me how to play chess? I told her that as a child I learned, just the fundamentals of the game, how the pieces move, but that's about it. I didn't learn anything about strategy or had that concept in mind as a little girl. I was around 7 years old, I told him. So I can teach you. See that? We're so willing to teach others strategy, but we're not teaching our own strategy. And you're taught to think that your own are your enemy. We are destroying ourselves. And I think that's the sad part of our group. You have all these people, and again, with Andrew Tate, he shared that his father was a master chess player, and his clients were Asian people teaching, spending money for their children to learn the game of chess, and pay him $100 a pop. $100. And sad that when our community, black community, gets $100, we give it to buy sneakers or game. A Nintendo, those video games, where we just sit there blindly being entertained while your community gets ravaged, and don't realize that people are coming into your community. Pawns. Again, a pawn is something in a game of chess. They're supposed to be dispensable. They're innocent. They're going to move one space at a time. But they are like capsules of poison. They may appear tasty and dispensable. You say, oh, it's just a pawn. Yeah, porn star guys. You bring them in your communities. And you may even marry and have children with them. And you think you've made it. But it's a time capsuled poison. Poison. Used against you and in your community. You think you made it. And she's just biding the time. Or maybe, sometimes maybe she may not be realized that the lady may not realize she's being used as a pawn and dispensable to her taskmasters, getting information. So same with okay, now linking that also with the SSP, the Secret Space Program. Secret Space Program, I was introduced to that genre in 2016. 2016, that's 2016. And when I was watching the Secret Space Program, allegedly people being kidnapped as children, go under some trauma, mental trauma, physical trauma, sexual trauma, and then the mind programmed to act a certain way, to learn to be a warrior, to say it nicely. And they might be brought to installations out in space, or maybe even underground, or under the water, these bases. And they're utilized for things. And they do a 20-year stint, and then they do a time regression and regress them back to the age where they got kidnapped. And the mind is brainwashed, or is erased. The memory is erased, and they live their childhood and lives like nothing happened. But at a certain age, they start to remember. And I did a video about that. I did an interview about a person allegedly that happened to. That they claim that happened to them. That's Tony Rodriguez. I did that interview in 2018, around January 2018. It's on my channel. You could look it up. Interview with Tony Rodriguez. You'll see it. It's almost 4 hours long. I did commentary about it, that interview I did with him, but the interview is about 4 hours long, almost 4 hours long. And so you have these people that this is happening to, and I'm confused about it. I look at the thumbnails on YouTube of these secret space program, and I'm wondering, why are the people, they look like they're smiling and happy? I wonder what's really going on. Why say it like that? Now, my understanding about the secret space program is that these people were taken by force. The men and the women went through all types of trauma. But when they're discussing it in the thumbnails of the videos, and all, it's like romanticized. And I'm wondering, is this really happening or this made up? Why is something like this considered something to romanticize about, like it's special? Not like this was a trauma. It was just the other day, maybe 2-3 days ago, I found a video. He was a trucker, and he went to a rest stop, and he witnesses children. It was a pickup truck, and a tarp on top of it, and underneath the tarp, when the lady who got out of the truck lifted it up, were cages of little children, cages with little children packed inside. And she took out a few of them and forced them to go to the bathroom, where he called the cops. And the people were apprehended. But the cops said, well, you have to leave now. And it's a secret. It's like they didn't want him to see. He should have been able to stay and as an observer, he was a witness. Hey, this is what happened. But they forced him to go. Why? Why? Now these people, you have women who've gone through traumas. Now there's people. Okay, it might be slightly different. You have these women that are go through these traumas, but they use them for politicians. I think they call it a presidential wife, or presidential something. Look, presidential model, I think they call it. Presidential model. They use a pretty lady or something. But they use them for getting information, through their charm, if you know what I mean. And then they relay the information. These women are not glamorized. These women are in trauma. Trauma. I believe those ladies. I believe a lot what they say. And I question this secret space program because if you go through sexual, physical, mental, and tortures, you're not going to be a happy camper. You're going to have PTSD. You're going to have these traumas. But they go and get interviewed and they talk about all this. And it's like some of them even have a book out. And I'm wondering, what is going on here? Is this all a game to them? Is this a game? Is this a game that's being played? This is not a joke, people. Because just people are being kidnapped. People are being harmed. Globally. Globally. And we walk around, and you have all types of people who are in on it with these human trafficking. Human trafficking. Modern day slavery. Yet we have people in the black community living in the past, and I was definitely one of them, living in the past. Oh, they did this to my ancestor. Well, you're not your ancestor. You are you now. And we're not instructing one another, teaching the game of chess and protect your neighborhood, your community, and not swallow those pawns. You fall for every day. And I'm sad at this manipulation game. I should go back to that man and teach him what I just learned in this video live stream, this live stream video. What I just taught myself. The game of chess, multi-layered, and the men have not mastered the pawn, play on words too. They swallow the time capsuled pill, time released, to activate at different times of destruction. I'm so sad about this. So sad. Yeah, I love watching Denzil Washington movies. They have him as a Lone Ranger. They think he thinks he's free, but he really is not. Remember, he doesn't have a wife. Remember that I think his wife dies. Wife had died already. So he's a Lone Ranger, an intelligent black man. He had a black wife in this community, like a Martha's Vineyard community, like the community that this person that I know, and before her death she shared with me that it was a hell living over there. Here she's a professional, very light-skinned black woman, husband a retired military officer. Know the Kennedys, they got pictures of the Kennedys on their room, but yet they weren't really welcome. At least the wife told me many years later that it was hell. And she had to just, no community. She had no community. She didn't have any kids with him. She was older. She was an older lady at the time when she married him. But no community. Isn't that a living death, people? A living death. To be an intelligent woman, yet you cannot socialize with any of the women. They're not going to invite you to a party or this or that. And God forbid that if they had kids, you know. I mean, she had grandchildren by this time, but no real community. And here, the husband was an army or a retired army officer. Denzil Washington. I think he was military also. You know, he in one of his other movie he plays. He was an officer, the Manchurian Candidate. Remember that Manchurian Candidate? And he's just a tool. He's no community. He lives alone. No wife. But they kind of try to set him up with a slight love interest. You know, something, a tantalizer. And they used him to do what he was programmed to do. It's an empty existence. An empty existence. That, you know, I've seen the correlation. Manchurian Candidate movie and the Equalizer. He is the Lone Ranger. He was the hero. But what does he get at the end? No community, no family. It is an empty existence. And you have some really fantastic black people out there who have skills and knowledge, but yet you cannot teach your community. They keep us separated. They keep you hating one another, distrusting one another, and demising one another. And I'm very sad. And those of you who do marry, who are you marrying? One of those pawns. Play on words too. One of those pawns. You bite into that pawn, and it's a time release capsule of destruction. And yes, you might have progeny with that union, but it's to it is to pacify, confuse you on who the enemy is. Who are your enemy? If you look just like your enemy, if your progeny looks like the end, so you don't know who it is. You're so used to seeing them, your progeny, you don't know who to fight. Because you trust them now, because that might be your mother. You're not going to hurt your mommy. You start to trust. So, okay, so if you do reproduce, your kids has a full sense of trust. They lose their edge, and they themselves may even swallow the pill, and it could be generational. That's how they destroy our community and others like it around the world. Generational demising doesn't happen then. It might happen in stages in your life. It happens in the Caribbean. Look at Puerto Rico. They forgot who they are. They might say they know, but in essence, the country as a whole, I mean the island as a whole, it's a territory. Oh, they identify with their enemies. They identify with them. And that's how they entrap them. So they may not be able to stop you from reproducing, but they manipulate who you mate with. And the mind, therefore the mind of your progeny is altered and then to act out how they wanted to act out. I think that's what's happening here in America now, the type of commercials that they have. You're biting the same pawn and it's killing you. They have all these rainbow commercials, different types of unions. But in the end, where is it going to lead you? Yeah, so all these things I mentioned about the game of chess, that chess player, the movie, the Equalizer, number three, uh, the analogy of the pawn of the chess pieces being used against you, time released poison, the SSP, you got these people being violated, but it's like, hey, it's like they're romanticizing everything, and is it real? And you have people being used in these things, but what's going on? Why are you romanticizing it on the internet? And then you have people who actually are, at least the women, I think they're called presidential models, and they're traumatized. And I believe that. I believe a lot of their story. They act traumatized. But everything is about control. Controlling you, controlling your destiny. And I mentioned about the vision that I had in the very beginning of this video about it looked like an underwater base, an underground base, and a reptile being. It had a short snout. I didn't see it too clearly. When I started to see the shape, I thought, I'm out of here. It looked like a male, very male, and it had this device that was pointing in my direction. Shape of a large, a pen, like what a pencil looks like, a short, stubby pencil. But this was a giant-sized thing, a dark matte finish gray, dark gray matte finish thing, and it was piercing through this opening, this long narrow opening, and the point was pointing through the opening towards me, and then I was able to see it, and I didn't want to go further with that. Yeah, these things are happening in life. And why am I seeing all these things now? These bases and these reptilian beings. I know I don't do drugs. I don't have any mental problem. But I've seen them. And we're preoccupied with a lot of things. These game of chess, these video games, these interviews, and the real life is happening behind the scenes. It is what is unseen. Remember yesterday's video regarding the open window and what's moving the curtains that you see. It's the wind. You don't see the wind, but it's there. And it is manipulating the physical matter. It is things that you don't see. What's working behind the scene that is controlling us, controlling me, controlling you. But we think it's all a joke. Like in the SSP program, people who claim that they're part of the SSP program, and it's like a big joke to them. Oh, let me write a book about it. How come you don't hear them getting together and going to the government, going to protest, going to the congressmen collectively and say, enough is enough. You had us do X, Y, and Z. Enough is enough. I want our reparations. I want our reparations. But you never hear that. It's more romanticizing, or what book deal or what movie I can get out of this. Like it's a big joke. This is not a movie. This is not a Denzil Washington movie for entertainment. This is reality. Things are happening. People are being used. Lone Ranger hero, Lone Ranger heroes, and then you get old and retire, and you're alone. Equalizer 3. This man is alone. No community. No wife. No kids. No family, but he's helping everybody else. It's heartbreaking. And they gave him a sense of hope in the movie when they said, "Oh, you're one of us now." Oh, really? Oh, really? Yeah. Are we? You get a whole bunch of people like him in that community, men, women, and children in there. And you see how fast they save their community. No, because we do have power. And they don't want our numbers. One or two is fine. But that's it. Disconnected. That one black girl in the movie, she looked like a mixed race. She's an adult woman, a very pretty woman, but no guy. See that? She's waiting for her hero, right? She's waiting for her hero. You think it's coincidence that they had the girl there? See, again, another porn piece. He did have a big bite of that piece of that porn. But he does get entrapped by the community she lives in. And almost cost him his life. And she was the one that said, "Oh, you're one of us now." Interesting, they had her about, she looks like a mixed race black woman, but not one of the Italians, native Italians there, or whatever you would call local. She's obviously from somewhere else, physically. They never said that they're he's part of the community. But someone gave her, one of the local elderly ladies, gives him a lemon because he likes tea. She found out he likes tea, and she gives him a lemon. And the light-skinned black lady says, "Oh, you're one of us now." She's saying that she accepts you. You're one of us now. Really, really. And I'm just remembered by something. As I said that you're one of us now. I noticed in Africa, there's a lot. Many of you may know that I was going to move to Africa last year, to Rwanda. Yes, what I saw of Rwanda was, and I didn't physically go there. I saw a lot of pictures of it, videos on it, and looks fantastic. Looks fantastic, in my opinion. And yes, it went through a genocide 20 something years ago, about 28 years ago, 29 years ago. Yes, that was sad. But what's happening now? Again, trying to tie this all in this whole mesh. It seems like a lot of places that I decided to live at, or places I lived in the past, a lot of bad things happened to it. St. Thomas had a bad hurricane again. Maui, the city of Lahaina got destroyed in hours. And I used to live in Lahaina, which was the island of Maui, part of Hawaii, the state of Hawaii. And now Africa. West Africa is having a coup after another coup. All of a sudden, first something with Mali and Niger. And now I learned Ghana. Ghana, a French-speaking place. Ghana just had a coup. One of them was begging on camera. Begging. I think it was Ghana, that the guy that was pleading to the world community I think he spoke both French and then in English. Begging, he was sitting in his home. Older man. He had a stroke earlier, a couple of months back, and so, you know, um, and he's like the second generation ruler there. His family was in control for 50 something years, close to 60 years in power, and they just ousted him about 1 or 2 days ago. A military coup, a military coup. Well, guess what? I also saw, was it yesterday, day before yesterday, with all these coups, that the country that I was going to move to last October, less than a year ago, has wrote this document. Um, the president of Rwanda wrote this document to retire his generals. Could you? Yeah, he's retired his generals. It was just released on the 30th, September 30th, 2023. The president of Rwanda, the country that I was going to move to last year in October, to that he is officially resigning. What do you call it? Dismissing. Retiring. That's what retiring his generals by name. He wrote on this document after seeing the coup that happened in Ghana. Now, yeah, he immediately wrote that I think the coup with the coup in Ghana, I think, might have happened uh, on the 29th maybe, and then he writes this thing on the 30th. Yeah, he's working for. He's not a stupid man. See, he was in power also for a long time, I heard. Yeah, right. I think right after the genocide, he became ruler, and they say he's pretty good, you know, but he's fearful. He's fearful, I presume. That's why he would do that. Why would you retire? You're just, yeah, because, see, when you retire them, I guess, you got to give up the equipment, you're not in command, so you don't have access to the same, yeah, he better put in a new, why is this happening in Africa? See that? That, I think the game of chess came from Africa, but yet they're just gobbling each other up. You know what it is? It's pride. I think it's pride that everybody wants to be on top. What was that? The other country, 30. I think the guy is 32 years old. He was some guy in the military, and he overthrew the government in a coup. He's just 30 something years old. Man, I'm older than him. And they, it's like they want the power seat. But what are they doing to the masses? Yeah, the excuse is, oh, colonialism. We want to take control. Okay, it sounds nice. You want to the hand, the money and the power to come to your hands. I can understand that, but they're never there to develop their populace because they still have a chief and subjects. You have the chief and then you have the subjects. And you don't want your subjects to be too healthy or too strong. That they want them at a disadvantage. You don't want them too smart. You don't want them to really have technology because you fear they're going to use it against you. So you rather have a shabby continent, shabby. But you send your kids to Europe or the Western world to have all this education and amenities, yet your people suffer. You bring your children back from this education and set them up in those palaces and stuff where you live, yet the people surrounding you are like scavengers. And then you want to beg for when these Westerns come and live by. Oh, please give me money. You beg, begging. It's very sad. They do that in Egypt too. Begging, always begging, begging. I'm not trying to be insensitive. So it doesn't matter how great the country in Africa was. Egypt used to be great, not anymore. Egypt used to be great, but not anymore. It's filled with ruins and mummified people and people begging on the street, begging for, you buy this, buy that. And you can't say that, if you go to Egypt now and say that black people were the kings there, they have this black American um, comedian that went there, and he said that the ancient people there were black people, where he got banned from that country recently, this year. Recently, you know the name of the guy, some famous black comedian that went there, and he's banned for going to that country, for saying a statement like that. I've been to Egypt. I've been to Egypt. And those people are my color and darker. They're obvious of their mixture, but yes, the people in power there. Remember Anwar Sadat? That was a black man. That was a black man who got assassinated many years ago on camera. That country was invaded by so many people, lost its identity. It has all these new identities, like some of the countries in the West Indies. They lost their identity. They want to identify with their oppressors, and they don't want to be reminded where they really come from, but they rather identify with their oppressor. Well, that's Egypt. That is Egypt. I didn't know they were like that. I was there in the military. It was okay, but it really has nothing to offer. Really, you want to look at these buildings, these old pyramids. I'm just sick of these pyramid stuff. I know I'm saying things that's not making a lot of people happy, but I'm just being real. A dead pyramid cannot do anything for you. And they're begging in the streets there in Egypt. Begging. Hustling. No real enterprise outside of the tourist industry to look at an abandoned ruin. You can't eat this, you can't eat that. When I was in the military, oh, you can't eat that. You can't eat the, they're warned American. You can't eat certain things because it'd be poison, it might hurt your system because of the bacteria and stuff. It's not even clean to eat the food there. But yet we worship, a lot of black people worship Egypt. Worship the old, what they call Kemet, ancient Kemet. Yeah, Egypt is a Greek name for that location when the Greeks took control. But before the Greeks took control, it was called Kemet. It was called Kemet, not Egypt. So it was really false to say ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt. And if you do say ancient Egypt, then that you're thinking the time when the Greeks took control of it. And you should say the time of Kemet. The time of Kemet. It has nothing. Yeah, so it seems like a coup is happening now in West Africa. involving the French. And remember prior to that, a couple of years back, it was North Africa, what they call the Arab Spring. Arab Spring. They're not Arabs in North Africa, but yes, they do speak Arabic. But they're not Arabs. But yes, you might have some Arabs there. But they just speak Arabic because of the different migrations there that took control. But they are not Arabs. They're not true Arabs. But it was controlled. And then the fighting. And then remember they were migrating into Europe. Remember that? It was a whole, what do you call it? A caravan. A caravan of all these dudes in the thousands. Remember that? In the thousands and the thousands of men. Military age. Entered into Europe. This is a game of chess, people. This is a game of chess played in multiple layers. Time release capsules when you swallow those pawns. I see my battery's going to run out soon, but yeah, this is happening. Yeah, that Arab Spring they call it. Time released, enter into Europe, and then they're probably going to be mobilized, to what do you call it, activated. Activated. These people didn't just disappear. Where did they go? How come you don't hear anything about these thousands and thousands of guys, North African guys? Now you have caravans coming into America and being bussed in my neighborhood. Being bussed in my neighborhood. Oh, but God forbid, I'm not supposed to say that. I'm supposed to be inclusive. Oh, I'm not supposed to be awake. I'm not supposed to be angry because I'm a minority. I'm a black woman. I speak the truth. Wake up, people. There's a game of chess being played in your community, coming into my neighborhood. And at a later date, these seemingly unconnected things are connected. And a big win, someone's going to win in this game of chess in a neighborhood near you. So, I hope you enjoyed this. This is food for thought. And again, this is not an immigration thing, no. But I'm against social engineering and putting poison in people's communities to swallow, whether it be time release capsules or instant toxicity and instant death. I'm talking about everything. Yeah, this is a game of chess and it's real. And I hope that we all wake up. I think all these things that I talked about, the last one talked about the Arab Spring, the West African coups, that all of a sudden this is happening, and that the places that I was going to live, I was going to move to Rwanda last year, and now the leader of Rwanda now is retiring their generals because all of a sudden West Africa, another African coup in Gabon in West Africa, and then you have Niger, and then you have all these other countries, all in their coups, they're being time released. These toxins, yes, this game of war, this game of chess that's being played. These things, the game of chess being played in the United States. You have people, black men teaching the art of chess playing, but not teaching their own communities how to play chess. And they teach anybody chess, even their enemies, and they don't realize they're teaching their enemies the game of chess so they can control these others, can control our community. teaching Asians, teaching all these people, but your own, the art of chess. And you teaching you teach your enemies chess. And then I talked about the underground facility. I saw the reptilian that was looked like an underground, possibly a water base, shining this, pointed this weapon, looked like like the shape of a pencil, short pencil, stubby pencil, pointing at me. Yes, all the things are going. And the Denzil Washington movie, this single hero, Lone Ranger hero, black man, helping everybody but his community, his black community, and the full sense of acceptance in the newest movie, um, Equalizer 3. Yeah, this is just food for thought. Let me know what you think. Write your comments below. If you like this content, please, you could PayPal me to do so. Go to my channel, Spirit Journey, on the right side of the banner of the channel. You see my PayPal me link. Click on the link, follow the prompt, and any amount would be greatly appreciated. And I thank you in advance. Thank you for your precious gifts. Yes, thank you again. Peace, love, joy, harmony. This beautiful, beautiful Friday morning. This cool weather in New York City feels wonderful. Yes, take care and enjoy your day in safety. Bye bye.